the WDS Originals YouTube channel, and besides me here we have my Alpina D3, which we have just M57 swapped. So in today's video you are going to witness that, and of course guys, if you do enjoy today's video, please don't forget to subscribe because there is plenty more content to come. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So here we have it. This is our donor car that we have just purchased for the Alpina. So as we've said, we're going to be doing an M57 swap. This is a 3-litre diesel BMW manual transmission with all the bits that we're going to need. As you can see, it has been involved in a bit of an accident, only a light tap, but at the same time that enabled us to purchase this car incredibly cheap. As you can see, we're also developing a bit of a garden, so the car came free with a garden. And also all the dirt. Now, one of the nice things about this car is it did come with some goodies, such as the Style 66s. Also, when we work our way in towards the inside of the car, you'll see we've actually got a full black M Sport interior with also that black headlining. So when it comes to recuperating some costs, we should hopefully be able to break this car for some nice pennies. So without further ado, it's time to start pulling this car apart. Despite both cars being E9X chassis, the wiring looms are actually quite different. So what we had to do was go back to the 2-litre diesel and strip the loom apart to understand what individual pin in each individual plug did. So basically the Alpina chassis has this blue plug, whilst the donor car engine loom doesn't have this blue plug. So we're basically going to have to rewire this manually ourselves. So hence why I've simply gone through, worked out exactly what wire does what, and then we can obviously tally that up with the other engine loom. as you can see, we've got a big brake kit going on the Alpina now. This is something that's actually very easy to do with the E9X chassis. Brakes from a 135, 140 or an M4 are near enough a direct bolt-on. A friend of mine also has a YouTube channel which explains these brakes in detail, which I've listed in the description below. Now, as you can see, we are almost done with this M57 swap. However, one thing we do still need to address is the power steering. Now, our donor car that we took this M57 from had electric power steering. So what that means is our M57 engine there doesn't actually have a power steering pump. So what we're going to have to do is make something work. So some people will know this already, but you can purchase an Astra H pump, which will then obviously be an electric pump, hence these wires just here. And then once we have sorted that, we will then go ahead and make the lines up. So as you can see here, I have some fittings. So I've been down to Think Automotive in Sunbury and collected the bits from them. So I've got a high pressure line to make and also a return line to make, which will simply go to this fitting and this fitting just here. So to make this Astra H pump fit, we did have to modify the bracket slightly. We've got a little bit of cleaning up left to do and then a quick lick of paint, and then we can mount this in the car. So as you can now see, the Astra H pump is mounted on our new bracket. We've got some wiring to do and we have started making up our high pressure lines, which we are in the process of doing currently. Once we've done those lines, we will then get onto the wiring and how to wire up this pump in your BMW. Now what we have here is our braided line, which we have just cut. So quick little bit of advice, if you are going to cut this line, do put tape around it as it will stop it from fraying. Once you've then cut it, you need to take your fitting and slide this part of the fitting over. You'll then have the other side of the fitting with the olive. Now we need to make sure that olive goes in here nicely. So to do that, the best thing to do is then remove this tape, which, be careful as it is very sharp. You'll now see the minute I remove it, it will all start to fray open. To help it, just pop a little screwdriver or something sharp down the outside of it. Nothing too major, a little fray open, and then get your olive, pop your olive on there. Again, be careful as it is sharp, make sure that it bottoms out fully, so tap if needs be, and make sure it's gone on square. Then push your other side of the fitting in and start to screw it up. Make sure you do that tight, and then you will have a complete custom braided AN fitting line. When it comes to wiring the Astra H pump, you have a main ground wire, a main 12 volt live, and then also an ignition switch plug here from the Vauxhall. Now there's 3 wires in this, 2 of which are relevant. We need to be taking the black and also the the blue and white wire. They are the important ones in this plug, which we then need to wire to an ignition live. Now this step here is not essential in any way, shape or form. However, this is just me being a bit OCD. I don't like the look of this Vauxhall plug, so I am going to be cutting the Vauxhall plug off and putting a BMW plug on, as you can see here. And then what that will also allow me to do is disconnect it properly with a plug rather than having it actually spliced into the chassis. So that is what I'm about to do, is deep-in this plug of all the unnecessary wires and wire that onto the pump itself. So what you can see here now is that we have replaced the Vauxhall plug, which is that one just there, with a BMW plug that we can disconnect if we ever need to change that pump. So we now need to wire up this to the chassis side of the car, which is what we're going to go ahead and do just now. Real simply, 2 of these wires are a switched ignition live, so that is what we need to wire up currently. So as you can see here, the pump is now all installed and the wiring has been done in an OEM way to go through the original loom cover and down towards the ECU box. Now, one of the very last things to do to this car is all the coding, and I'm not going to show you how I do this. I do not want to be responsible for you having any issues with yours, but as I've mentioned previously, there are plenty of people out there who can code these cars for you if needed, but I'm fortunate that I have the software and I'm willing to take the risk on my own cars. So that is what I'm about to do just now. So that is the Alpina M57 D3 now complete, and it is time for our first startup. So fingers crossed this all goes to plan. Moment of truth.